Not far from the northeast passage of Truk Lagoon, a fishing boat lies wrecked in the shallows, the victim of a past cyclone. Wildlife is slowly enveloping the vessel. Within a few kilometres is a stunning shipwreck, the Katsuragisan Maru. Built in 1925, the Katsuragisan is one of the few vessels in Truk Lagoon that were not victims of Operation Hailstone. In January 1944, 6 weeks before the main attack by the US Navy, the ship was entering the pass carrying war supplies. Her skipper was unaware the track had been recently mined. The vessel struck a friendly mine and foundered shortly after with the loss of 5 lives. 50 years later, in 1994, a Canadian film team shooting the documentary The Legacy of Truk Lagoon organised an expedition to find the wreck using a side-scan sonar deployed from the SS Thorfinn.
Peter Fox, a Canadian expert in side-scan operations, was asked to lead a search for this vessel.
When I was first approached last year about this expedition to go to Truk Lagoon to search for the Katsuragisan Maru, it sounded like a very interesting proposition. In retrospect, however, it turned out to be one of the most exciting adventures of my life. The first couple of days were spent testing the equipment. We loaded it on board the vessel. We have to establish power with the generator, get everything running.
Helping sonar expert Peter Fox were Klaus Lindemann and Grad van Isek.
It was time to search for the real prize, the Katsuragisan Maru. The Canadian search team headed for the Northeast Pass aboard the steam-driven dive ship Thorfinn.
One is here to the north, this one to the south. We know that the Japanese put mines at approximately 40 fathom line, which is, I would say, roughly about here, several mines, in fact, a barrier, a mine barrier. Mm-hmm. And the Katsuragisan came in from
In near-perfect conditions, the Thorfinn made her first run towards the North Pass. Within the hour, a target was found.
We were no more than 32 minutes down the first line when we ran over a target which had dimensions consistent with the dimensions of the wreck that we were searching for, the Katsuragisan Maru. Right below us, and it's huge. What do you want me to do? Oh, yeah, all right. Overboard with the boy. Overboard. There we go. We're going to be right smack on that.
Klaus Lindemann made the first dive and surfaced, very excited, confirming the wreck to be the long-lost ship.
right under this can. It's a new wreck. Right underneath here. You go down, 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 and you find a new wreck. And it's beautiful. She's a 1920 vessel. You can see very clearly the age. The bow is right, superstructure is right.
She on her keel or over on the side?
On even keel.
You're kidding.
On even keel, straight laid out.
Seen here in 1996 with Kimio Isek, founder of the Blue Lagoon dive shop, these two men were responsible for the discovery and rediscovery of many of the shipwrecks in Truk Lagoon.
Many of these wrecks were actually not found or were unknown, and only in 1980 Kimio and myself were embarking on a long search, and we found all the outstanding wrecks. That was quite an interesting time. With the exception, I should really say, of 3 wrecks. The 2 destroyers, which were found much later, and 1 wreck that eluded us because partly it was too far away, and secondly it was not directly connected to the Operation Hailstone. It was the Katsuragisan.
It's a 15-kilometre run from the Blue Lagoon resort to the wreck site. This can be a difficult dive. The proximity to the lagoon's entry means the area is subject to very strong current. Fortunately, on this occasion, conditions are perfect. Following the line down to the wreck, divers never tire of the sight of a shipwreck emerging out of the gloom. And this one really delivers. Our anchor leads us directly to the bow of this beautiful ship. And what a spectacular view it is. Both anchors can be seen in the hawse pipes as our lights reveal a myriad of colour. An advantage of being close to the passage means the water clarity is simply stunning. Sitting upright in a depth of 70 metres, the wreck is the deepest in the lagoon. The ship swarms with yellow snapper. Their stunning colour against the blue water is an amazing sight and unique to any other shipwreck in Truk Lagoon. On top of the forecastle head, which is a dive in itself, the anchor winch has a beauty never imagined by its makers. The snapper cruising around the machinery is a photographer's dream. Towering 10 metres above the ocean floor, the bow swarming with marine life is wreck diving unsurpassed. Either side of the forecastle head, two firefighting spools reveal the result of over 75 years of immersion in tropical waters. World War II Japanese merchant marine history reveals thousands of lost Marus, mostly in the deep blue waters of the Pacific. From old steamships like the Katsuragisan to the modern passenger liners of the day, the numbers are simply staggering and most will never be discovered. The failure of these vessels to deliver their war supplies, largely as a result of the campaign waged by US submarines, played a significant role in shaping the final outcome of World War II in the Western Pacific. Twin ladders remain in place to the well deck. Inside the forecastle head, the floor has fallen to the bottom of the ship, leaving an eerie cavern. A view of the hawse pipes. Over decades, the plating on the hull has fallen to the ocean floor, leaving a full view into the quarters of the forecastle head. Most of the plating sits directly below, apart from this section, complete with an open porthole. This impressive view shows just how far the wreck sits off the ocean floor. The port side of the forecastle reveals an artefact that at first looks completely out of place. A baby's bath? No, a wall-mounted urinal that has fallen off into the trough. The forward mast has toppled to the deck, crashing down on top of the forecastle head. The damage very evident in this footage. Leaving the forecastle head and moving back along the wreck, the clarity of the water is simply stunning, the second cargo hold visible even from this distance. Whatever its contents, it's almost unrecognisable now. Early divers reported many of these lanterns around the wreck. These ones were destined for the museum at the Blue Lagoon Resort. The former bridge and Centre Island deckhouse have been completely destroyed by time. Nothing remains of their former shape, but a view from the starboard side gives a glimpse of the vessel's former glory, the promenade deck windows. Any entrances to the cabins, boiler and engine rooms appear blocked and entry appears impossible, at least from the deck. The inner skin of the funnel still stands, and being the highest part of the wreck is a favourite spot for marine life. A view at the rear of the Centre Island deckhouse shows how much of the structure has flattened out. Again, entry is limited. The rear mast, like the forward one, has fallen to the deck, the support base covered in colourful growth, and a sanctuary for more of the brilliantly coloured snapper. Looking up the mast, we find the cross tree, which once stood high above the ship. The wreck's rear hold contains the remains of half a dozen small trucks. They are examples of the same model vehicles in several wrecks in the lagoon. Their narrow bodies were well suited for transport on the islands. Amazingly, one of the hatch beams has speared through the windscreen without damaging the cabin. For exactly 50 years until her discovery in 1994, this magnificent shipwreck sat undisturbed in the crystal clear water. One can only wonder just how many other diveable shipwrecks throughout the world remain undiscovered. A large propeller rests tilted against the bulkhead of the poop deck. Was it a spare or perhaps a replacement for another vessel in Truk? I guess that answer will never be known. And just like the forecastle head, firefighting hoses are positioned on the poop. This gun, which once stood high on the stern, has toppled over and is barely recognisable. A depth charge remains in position at the stern of the ship. Beneath the stern, the rudder is positioned hard to starboard and the propeller lies buried in the sand. This rarely visited part of the wreck reveals loose hull plates, providing easy access for the marine life. It's time to head back to the anchor line. The wreck of the Katsuragisan is without a doubt one of the most exciting dives in the lagoon. Whilst her depth and location mean that most divers will never have the opportunity to visit the Katsuragisan, she is the deepest, the clearest, and blessed by more colour and marine life than any other. And as Klaus said, she is beautiful.